Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back. As you have seen from the title, today we are diving into all things empowerment. And I want to share a really powerful transformation one of my students had during quantum healing hypnosis work, specifically regarding this. And I'm going to give a few different examples and ways that inner child wounds and past experiences can be impacting you or shifting the way that you see yourself. So, as you know from the things I talk about all the time, our subconscious and our view of our identity plays such a big role in how we show up in the world. So, for this particular woman, because of different experiences in childhood, the dynamics between her mom and dad, and the kind of old school mentality that they had, she didn't feel very loved and seen or supported by her dad. And he was kind of the financial provider, but didn't necessarily show up much with emotions or even with like physical presence. And if you can relate, your girl can here, that can lead to a lot of insecurities and unworthiness. On top of that, the experiences she had with her mom was that her mom felt very controlling, very overpowering, predominantly negative and judgmental. And so as this woman grew up, this client of mine, she kind of had all these different stories and these different imprinting playing out. So I want you to understand, if you can relate to this or however this looks in your own upbringing and your own childhood and dynamic, this plays out on multiple levels. So in the subconscious mind, this is obviously creating really deeply rooted beliefs of who you think you are and what you believe you deserve and how you think the world works. So one of the impacts, just to note, is that for her, this experience with her dad caused her to have a really strong belief that men would provide financially for her, but that they weren't going to be emotionally involved or necessarily very supportive and loving. And this is a pattern that she had in all her relationships because of it. And the reason I bring this up is because I really want you, at the end of watching this or listening to this, I really want you to have a major awareness around certain patterns that are actually the cause of your struggles with confidence or with self-esteem or self-worth, right? So her subconscious held on from childhood to what a masculine figure looked like. And typically what we see in our parents is what prints into us as normal. So she saw this as that's just what it is for a normal man to do, right? He is going to provide for me financially. So she always was dating men who had lots of money and worked hard and would help her pay her bills and stuff like that. But she also had really deeply rooted in her subconscious, those pathways in her brain were telling her that because this is how he shows up financially, he's not going to be very much in his heart. He's not really going to meet any of my emotional needs or my needs for connection. I'm going to have to prove myself or almost maybe throw a tantrum in order to get his attention. All these different things that happened in her childhood from her relationship to her dad. Now, as I'm telling this and getting like full body chills and super emotional, because you can imagine the ways this continues. This is why I love this work. It's why I nerd out about it, because I'm like, sis, you can literally break any pattern. It doesn't matter what it is. If you can create the awareness and if you can understand and uncover what's going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain in your subconscious, you can fix it, you can shift it, you can heal it, you can rewrite something new, okay? So she had patterns like this for years and years and years in dating. And as you can imagine, every single time this was repeated, not only did it reinforce and strengthen that belief, but it also depleted her confidence even more. And typically, I've been there myself as well, we find ourselves repeating these patterns, and it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like, oh, see, I knew this is what men always do, or I knew I wasn't good enough. And it reaffirms. And now we create a prophecy for our entire life unless we have the tools and the awareness to break it, right? So when it came to the work she started doing, and thankfully she realized that this was going on and she wanted to shift it. So we started working together through my Empower bundle, which is a quantum healing hypnosis bundle all about building confidence and self-worth and allowing you to take up space and truly reprogram yourself to show up in the world as the queen that you are, be in your fullest embodiment and expression, and attract and create the reality you want from this place. So the link for that is down below if you want to check it out. But we started doing this work. We started looking at these programs that had been playing out for her for so long. And the other part of this work that I forgot to mention is the impact on your energetic signature. So if you've studied manifestation or law of attraction at all, then you probably already know that like attracts like. And if you're in a bubbling vortex of insecurity, you're probably going to attract kind of things that match that or reinforce that. It's connected to the self-fulfilling prophecy that I just mentioned, right? But from an energetic level. Just like if you have the belief that men only show up the way that she believed they do, and if that's printed, if that's held and stored in your energetic body, then because of law of attraction and law of assumption, which is that when we are being it, we attract it, or when we believe it and know it to be true, when we assume it, that's what gets reflected back to us, right? If that is being held in your energetic body, then you could want so badly for the opposite, but you're going to continue attracting what you're holding. So this is part of why we can manifest the same partner in a different body. And for me, even, it's why I manifested so many repetitious or repetitive experiences with men, because I had something in my energetic signature around how men don't respect me. And I would move to a different province. I would literally leave the country and go somewhere else, travel the world, and this pattern followed me everywhere. People in their lower feminine or in their wounding would say, well, that's just because there are men like that everywhere. I don't believe that. I believe it's because I was holding that frequency, and so I magnetized the match wherever I went. Just like now that I hold a higher level frequency and a higher level standard for what I believe is normal, what I believe I deserve, what I'm available to, I don't attract that anymore, no matter what country I'm in. And I actually attract the opposite. I attract really beautiful, healthy, loving, kind, respectful, masculine energies. So like attracts like, and that's the energetic impact of this work, or of things that are playing out unconsciously, okay? So as this client of mine went through Empower and she started to shift these things, she went from seeing herself and the identity of like this small girl, right? She didn't even really see herself as a strong woman. She didn't really see herself as capable or worthy or deserving of better, just like this wounded inner child. And we all have that aspect of ourselves, right? When we learn to give them compassion and love and reparent them to know they deserve better, we help strengthen the new beliefs and the new sense of self. The other thing that she did was start to see herself and her identity attached to an archetype. And for her case, it had to do with like a Wonder Woman and this superhero woman who knew who she was and was just this badass, like beautiful, strong, and yet soft goddess kind of energy. And by shifting that and printing it in through the hypnosis work, through the deep subconscious work, then when she went about her day-to-day life, she was no longer operating from a wounded little girl, and instead she was operating from a strong, empowered superhero woman, right? And even that alone, you can understand the contrast and the differences of how that would shift your reality, okay? Because what we think, we become. What we are vibing in, we attract, right? So if you're wanting to feel more empowered in your life, in your business, in your relationships, then you have to see yourself and believe yourself to be more empowered. It's not something that will come externally. And I can say that from years of doing this work and hundreds of clients that I've worked with and supported, and also from a lot of external accolades and times where I thought, oh, once I achieve this, then I'll feel confident. Once I look a certain way, then I'll feel worthy. Once I hit this certain income, then I'll believe I'm good enough. And every single time I reached that external marker, nothing changed. Like literally nothing changed internally, because there's always going to be another marker to reach for. So even if for a moment I felt like, yes, I did it and this is amazing, I had a dance party, I was proud, I was excited. Well, the next day when I woke up, if my internal self-image was still seeing myself as unworthy or not special or not good enough or insecure and small, then how do we operate from that place? An insecure, unworthy little girl is now going to just want more. She needs more. She needs another thing to validate her. And it's this never-ending cycle. So the external things are not actually what you want to be focusing on. Hopefully by now in your life you've realized that, but if you need a reminder, I do every once in a while, then hopefully that serves you as well. It's not about the external, it's about shifting it internally, because then internally, when you change your beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, when you change your energetic field for what is normal, what you're open to, you're going to attract better anyway. So the outcome is going to shift with you. And this time you're actually going to feel worthy though, because you've grounded it in first. If you just achieve it externally, but the internal is still, 5-year-old you, 6-year-old, 7-year-old you, or if you had a moment of trauma when you were 10 and like that caused an imprint in your confidence, well, if that is kind of the unconscious sense of self that is running the show, then it doesn't matter what you achieve externally, because that 10-year-old is still hurting. They're still holding on to pain and wounding, and they're still wanting to feel more worthy. So the most incredible things happened for this woman as she did the inner work, not only when she went back to visit her family and she had the most incredible time where she said for the first time ever, it felt like her parents respected her and saw her as an adult, and she had these really healthy, loving, conscious conversations with both her mom and her dad. And it changed her relationships. She left the partner she had been with for years, who was not really treating her very well, but he was showing up in the ways she thought were normal, the ways she believed she deserved, and she was putting herself out there, starting to date and looking for a healthier level of a checklist in terms of the partner she was calling in, instead of just wanting a man to provide financially and then thinking that she didn't deserve the rest of those things either. And it impacted her business, where she started having the highest income months that she'd had in her life, and through more of a place of ease and just confidence, because she was exuding this higher level sense of self. So there really was none of that needy, insecure energy anymore. And instead, she was showing up from that superwoman and like, let me take on the world from here, because I know I got this. I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm here to do. I believe in how worthy I am of receiving. I believe all these good things are possible and waiting for me, and I'm rising up to meet them. I'm not staying back in my pain and accepting less than, and I'm not going to whine or complain about it. I'm going to become the version of me I know I'm meant to, and the version of me who is a match, right? It's so incredibly empowering to go through this process and to remember who you were created to be, and to have the tools so that you're no longer limited by any past experiences. I know I started this off by sharing specifically like childhood examples with her mom and dad, but it also transcends that, and it really does go back to wherever there were impacts of self-esteem or unworthiness. For me, I had major wounding and like moments of impact because of puberty years where I had horrible acne. And that was around the same time my parents decided they were getting separated. And it rocked my entire world, because until that point, I had kind of been in this illusion that we had this perfect family, even though there were a lot of unhealthy things playing out that I thought were just normal. But it was in my 14, 15, probably a bit before that actually, with like acne and everything, but it was in that time frame that my whole self-worth just crumbled. And it like took a massive hit, where I went from being more bubbly and vibrant and chatty and feeling like I deserved to be in places and not really even thinking about my worthiness, just being, to suddenly feeling like I wanted to hide away and disappear, like I was ugly and unimportant and a burden on the world, and that I didn't deserve to be anywhere or have anything good. So that was like a major moment of impact, and a moment of imprinting my energetic signature. And almost like if you just imagine the beautiful, vibrant energy field around you, and then suddenly it's like getting dull or dim or shriveling, right? Or maybe it's like getting holes poked into it, and it's just like this bubble bursts, right? That's what it felt like. And unfortunately, until I started learning about this work with energy healing and with the subconscious mind, that's just what I continue to perpetuate. And I continue to take that belief and that wounding and that bursted bubble energy, like that really sad energy, and I brought that with me through the world. And when I attracted things that some people would not tolerate, I believed I deserved them. And when good things happened, I didn't believe I deserved them. I wanted to push them away. I didn't know how to hold it. I didn't feel safe or worthy of having it, right? So everything comes back to how you see yourself, how you hold yourself, and what you feel within. And that's where everything I teach inside Empower is such an incredible place to start if you're wanting to do deep subconscious reprogramming and the energy healing, the hypnosis, so that you can really start to feel empowered in all that you are, and shift it on the mental, physical, emotional, and energetic planes, and start showing up in the world from that version of you, and from that beautiful glow and shine that you know you're here to radiate, but maybe you're struggling to hold, or you're struggling to embody consistently. So the link for that is down below to check it out. I've also got an incredible hypnosis that is totally free. It's my Quantum Queen hypnosis recording. If you want to start there, I will drop the link for that as well. And that's been transformational in my life. It's been so incredible. And I would love for you to experience that as well if that feels good to you. So thank you for being here. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you again soon.